Well, hello everyone. I'm here with you with Tony Cook from Model Railroad News. This is a special Cinco de Mayo broadcast of Athearn Train Tuesday. We have a whole lot of content for you. We have Tony here. What have you been? How have you been doing? First of all, Tony.
Well, we were talking before we started here about what it's like working from home. And
Yeah.
that's what I do all the time. So I've been sheltering in place now since 2011, 2012. So yeah, this is what I do every day doing the magazines for White River. But no, it's weird
So
because
you bring up a
it's
little
the
seniority on that, no?
yeah, it's the same but different because now there's so many other people doing the same thing. So it's like everybody has the day off too. When I go on Facebook, yeah, everybody's off. So, but no, it's
Right.
very neat. I've been working on July and August editions of Model Railroad News,
Hmm.
some book projects, other things, scanning slides and that kind of thing. We've got some slides we're going to look at today that are from some of the White River collections. So very busy, as I'm sure you're probably keeping just as busy working from home too.
I said it two times before, and it stays true that I feel like I'm busier now than I was, going into the office 9 to 5. Just the different conferences that I'm doing, the different Zoom chats and all this stuff that I got lined up. It's just been one thing after another. It's been not much dead time other than to maybe eat a little bit and sleep a little bit, and I am trying to make some good progress with this time as far as some modeling. I've been doing a little bit of that too. So
Yeah. It's
yeah,
tough
well, thank you for stopping by.
as somebody that does this for my regular. This is how I'm always at home. I got to tell you, the thing I'm sure you're already encountering is you'll probably go in to do something and then immediately think, oh, I was going to
Mhm.
answer that email, or oh, let me go because I was going to check on this or that. And yeah, you don't turn it off. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I start to go do something and then think, oh, I was going to answer that person's email. And then, an hour or so goes by and I'm like, what's that smell? Oh, I was cooking something. And I go running into the kitchen. Yeah. So it takes,
Yeah,
you gotta kind of work on your schedule and decide when you're at work and when you're at home, even if you're at home all the time.
right. And it's a real easy thing to kind of, oh, hey, you have the cell phone here, and you end up checking something, and it's like, oh, there's someone had a question, so I'll just answer it real quick.
Right.
So
Right.
it can be kind of a blurry line there for sure.
Well, and it's all train stuff too. So I'll think, oh, okay, let me push back here. I'm going to take some time off. Well, what am I going to go do? Oh, I got a new train book, or I have this new model that I want to look at. So it's the same but different. But yeah.
So I thank you for being here, Tony. We have a couple things that we're really interested in going through, and also appreciate you sending some photos on one of the topics that we're going to be discussing here. Going right into it, we're going to be discussing part of the new Athearn announcement for the SD70 Max, and something that's really important to notice for the SD70 Mac is this is the first time that we're offering the 70 Mac with the different pilot detail for the MU train line hoses, as well as some of the other pilot detail like coupler cut bar and things like that on these locomotives. So one of the big time requests that we had was, hey, the 70 Mac is cool. Don't forget about that. There's a lot of different schemes, and as far as a locomotive that's been kind of seen all over the United States at this point, just by virtue of going into different secondhand type railroad situations, like for the Kansas City Southern and for like BN getting merged into the BNSF, etc. So we took a look at it, and one of the things that we really wanted to show off was, you know, hey, there was this thing back in the early BNSF merger called the vomit bonnet, and it was just a paint scheme that's probably sounded like great on a napkin at lunchtime with other BNSF execs, but it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't turn out well
Hmm.
when actually painted. And the idea was taking the executive paint scheme, the BN executive paint scheme and applying some of the curves and the lines from the Santa Fe. So going back to the 90s during merger era for the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, we're offering the 9647. And this will be the first time we're offering that locomotive with sound, as well as the new details as well.
I think it's got to be one of the only units that actually got Burlington Northern Santa Fe completely lettered on the side. Isn't
that
it?
is true. Everything was kind of like an acronym after that, you know.
Yeah.
Or abbreviation, rather. One of the things, too, that we noticed, this is a brand new paint scheme for the SD70 Mac, too, is the late heritage BNSF with the swoosh underneath. So we're offering that for the first time. Also, these will have LEDs. That is a major enhancement over any of the previous versions. And then the models that have sound will have the Tsunami 2 with the 8-function decoders as well.
I mean, for a model that's not that old, there's a lot of things when as you go through that list of stuff that you think, oh, it's another run of 70 Max. But between, I assume you got the new MU hoses on this as well.
Yes.
So it basically is almost, I mean, if it had, it's almost a Genesis 2.0. It's got most of those features, at least, of some of the upgrades, the LEDs, the rubber MU hoses. I mean, it's a lot different from what it was just a few years ago.
Yeah. I mean, as part of one of the benefits of having Genesis 2.0 kind of bring up the level a little bit, so like you said, the rubber MU hoses and things like that, it's an outstanding first-time feature for this thing. So really excited to bring that to market. One of the things, too, is you can't really do the 70 Max without doing Burlington Northern. I mean, this was pretty much what the last diesel that the BN ever ordered. And it isn't like they only had like 300 of them, you know.
Oh, it was, yeah. Yeah.
So we're doing some of the earlier phase of the BN. And one of the most distinguishable features about that, I'm sure there's some panel and door differences on the long hood. I haven't looked at that very closely, but you'll notice that the door on the cab is actually on the conductor side versus the engineer side. The later ones had them on the engineer side, so it was kind of flip-flopped. And you'll see that in some of our other models too. We can do either version with it.
Has that been done before?
As far as ours, yes. So we've been able to offer that feature throughout the life of this model, run over run. There's been, the ability to adjust for, I think, the phase 2 to the very last phase of the 70 Mac. We've been able to execute them prototypically. And as these things even made it unpatched into early BNSF. I mean, here's a shot of it with like it looks like a 70 Mac painted up in full BNSF livery right behind it. So a nice long range for these things.
It was a great scheme. As classic as the Cascade Green was it Grinstein Green, the executives, that's his name. I thought it was a great look. Maybe it didn't transfer so well to the 9647 War Bonnet attempt, but this, I thought, on those executive F units they had in these were really sharp-looking units.
When the executive F units first came out, I was a junior rail fan, and I saw those things, and I was just like really taken back. I just thought those things looked so classy, so slick in that paint scheme. And the 60 Max came out, and I was like, I don't know, I'm just not really into those. But then the 70 Max came out in the same paint scheme as the F units. I was like, wow, those things are really cool. So, Yeah, it definitely left an impression. As kind of a related note, as these things went through, their service lives, and like I said, BNSF ended up with 500 or more of these things. That at some point they started just kind of like taking the older ones and putting them up for sale. Progress Rail was a early purchaser for these locomotives. They got put into leasing service, and this particular PRLX 9554 is actually in service on the Norfolk Southern, and I think they were in service on the NS for quite some time. And this was pretty recent too. Let's see here. This was 2018, April 26, 2018.
And your model's also going to have the yellow hash stripes along the sill for the later look, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Let me have a look at that right here. Yep, they have the reflectors along the side as well.
Nice.
And these models are in the Prime for Grime series, so they'll be prototypically faded, prototypically patched, etc. Also, you'll notice that some of those pinstripes didn't age well either. They actually went from red to kind of a gray, and I believe that's replicated too on our artwork as well. Yep, it sure is.
Nice.
So something to think about that.
Those are such amazing models to see. And the ones I end up picking up all the time are things I don't plan to buy, and I'll get a look at it and see the faded or the patch stuff, and it just looks so cool that it's like, well, I wasn't going to get this, but man, that's too cool. I got to have one. So yeah, I pick up a lot of rolling stock and other stuff just because it'll catch my eye. It's like, man, that's well done. That's very cool.
Yeah, this one's actually leading on the NS in 2018. This is December 5th, 2018, and there's a Tier 4 behind it, and it looks like a dash something rather at the rear, at the third loader position on a grain train. Pretty cool. Next up, we also have the Alaska Railroad. Now, the Alaska Railroad is just one of those isolated, cool railroads. This is one of these railroads that probably should get a little bit more attention, but it just always seems to get overlooked a little bit by manufacturers. But we're also doing the 70 Max for the first time in Alaska Railroad with sound. Plus also the different detail versions as well. And each road number has a different sort of city or spirit, like Spirit of Cantwell, Spirit of Palmer, Spirit of Healy, and Nanana. So something to look at.
It's a beautiful scheme. I'd love to get up there and actually see that sometime. Have you ever been up there?
I've never been up there.
That'd be a fun trip. Yeah, that'd be awesome to see.
Yeah. Well, although right now, it'd definitely be like a summertime destination because I'm a little bit much of winter right now.
They are beautiful. That blue and yellow is tremendous. With the silver trucks, really sets them off.
Yeah. And also the scenery that they do service in. It's pretty impressive. Just the remoteness, the hostile sort of areas that they go set on, desolate areas at that too. So, just cool looking locomotives.
Oh,
cool
isn't that
scenery.
nice? That's a great shot.
Yeah, Michael William. And this was just a power set here too. And finally, we're going to get into some CSX locomotives. Now, for the CSX, this is the first time with their what they would call their Bakar logo on the front and the back, or long hood. 4526. It's really weird about the CSX because this railroad kind of got rid of their SD70 ACEs, but they kept their 70 Max. So yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting sort of development as time went by for the CSX. They're still out there, I believe.
And they bought those originally? These are not like Conrail. These are too new for that, aren't they? To be ex-Conrail. Conrail had what, the 60, I guess, 60 eyes. They
Well,
got split
Conrail
up.
also had some, so
Oh, okay.
the heritage on these could very well be Conrail. And then let's see. Yeah, this is just a sweet photo of
That is
over at
nice.
Crozet, Virginia in 2017. Just love the fall colors on that. So, jumping into some of the photos that you submitted, Tony, this is going back to the TFM, and it's been forever since Athearn offered a TFM version of the 70 Mac, and it kind of highlighted the Cinco de Mayo aspect of today. So, anyone watching out there from Mexico, happy Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, here's one of the TFM locomotives. I guess this is back up in the States here, would you say?
That's at Kanoki Yard in Kansas City, and that's June of 2008. And these shots that I shared with you are by White River's president, Kevin Udaley, from his collection.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. That's a beautiful shot. Nice, well lit. Here's another one, too. 1633, we're actually doing that locomotive, too.
Oh, is it nice? That's northbound Belton, Missouri. That's the south side of Kansas City. And that's September of 2011.
And you can see the Kansas City Southern variant right behind it. A few of them lasted a long time in TFM, even in service on Kansas City Southern. And you can actually see a Southern Belle. I think that's an Ace right behind that as the third loader. And here's 1656 taking the lead.
That's down in Louisiana, and that's 2017, was still in TFM paint. That's April 4th of 2017. Simsboro, Louisiana.
That's a great shot. I just love how the foliage totally frames those locomotives there.
It is. Oh, that is a good shot, yeah.
So if you're watching this and if you're interested in any of these road names, feel free to drop by the website. We have a full listing of all the different roads and also more information on these things. So without further ado, Tony, you also had something you wanted to chat about as far as some Athearn history. Can you kind of lead me in on that one?
Oh, definitely. I was excited to see the announcement, I think it was a month or two back, on there'll be Athearn Roundhouse this time. The steel cupola caboose is coming back for, I think it was announced in March, and their 2021 releases. And this was the classic blue box kit. And I wonder, Tanya, this is being done for an anniversary. It's the 75th anniversary of Athearn, will be the blue caboose, and there's a white Horizon Hobby for 35 years of Horizon. This is the ad that introduced the caboose, and the 40-foot sliding door boxcar were both new, and the GP9 was new at the time, too. Do you know what year that was?
I have no idea.
1957.
Wow.
Yes. So
that's a little bit before my time.
A little, yeah. As this is the new GP9, and then of course the F7 had been out since like '54, and so this is the first of the plastic models from Athearn we're starting to hit. So yeah, the caboose would have been brand new, and the plans for that caboose, it is a Santa Fe prototype, were in a 1949 edition of Model Railroader. So I think that's where Athearn got I'm guessing, and I've also got a Santa Fe book they produced for modelers that has drawings, and again, it's the same exact version of that steel caboose. So it is a Santa Fe prototype, and the kit debuted in '57 and was quite a bit different than what you sell today. And there's an early example of the kit. And when you think about it, I know there's some people say, oh, that's just a blue box model. No, that's a blue box model. See the wire and for the ladders and the handrails. That has the old sprung metal trucks. There's no clear material in the windows because there wasn't until you guys turned it into ready to roll. but that's a first run, and that's also an early run. Love the old box art. That's one of the yellow box before the blue box era. And if you look back on that B&O, if you can step back, it's amazing what was state of the art as far as look at the Baltimore and Ohio lettering. Wow. It is rough. Yeah. But, that was, you didn't think about it. And now I look at things, I mean, the stuff you guys produce now, we talked about the prime for grime and the quality of the striping, the lettering, the heralds. And then you look at something like that and you think, oh, that one's not so good. It's like, no, that's about what it looked like 60 some years ago for pad printing. And it's amazing how much different they are. But
literally, it was like a rubber stamp,
Yeah, yes. Well, and then the other things you do now when you put them all together, I mean, in this case, the smoke jack, the walkways, everything was just, molded black plastic. And now you get it completely finished to where even though some of the components are the same, they look so much better because it's such a finished model today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that it's easily to forget, one of the first things that we did with some of the cabooses was add clear window glazings to them, and that just really completed the model. I mean, I remember getting blue box kits like this, and they didn't come with any windows. I mean, you had to cut styrene out to finish it up. But yeah, we have our Athearn 75th anniversary caboose here. And it definitely harkens back to some of the original Athearn history, as you were describing, Tony, about the origination of this model.
I'll be excited for that because I'm a big collector. So the minute I saw these announcements, like, oh, I got to have that. Yeah, that's very cool. And you did. I don't know if I'm spilling any news, but you did say we will see some more 75th anniversary announcements of special products.
Oh, absolutely. This is just one of those key items that we wanted to make sure you had so we could complete the train. This is going to round out the train for our 75th anniversary stuff.
And that will run. That run has a bunch of neat. We talked about these two special editions, but there's also, I think, a Bessemer Bicentennial. The Santa Claus caboose that's always popular gets another run. I think there's at least one or two of like the Southern Pacific, maybe police ones. Yeah, there's So there's a lot of neat models in this particular run.
Yeah, here's the SP Police one. That was actually a former Rio Grande caboose. And it was kind of about the end of SP, beginning of SP integrated into the Union Pacific. They were using this SP Police caboose as a shoving platform for the Lompoc turn for a long time. And it became kind of like a real familiar friend. It was just like, there's a aspect of Rio Grande lettered for SP now working for the UP.
That's neat. Yeah, and I see that you blanked the windows, which the Rio Grande would have done in the early 80s when you had the safety glass came in. They went through and plated over windows. And that's such a nice feature of these of the current cabooses is that you do that. I had someone talking to me about them recently saying, oh, I used to do that to some of those cabooses to try to make them look closer to a prototype I was painting. And now they do that and put the little styrene sheets in there. It's like, yeah, it's a cool idea.
It's something simple, but, it kind of gives it the look, And one of the things you were talking about, too, our parent company, Horizon Hobby, is celebrating 35 years actually this year. Ours is going to be, next year we're going to start bringing stuff in. More things are going to start coming in. 2022 is the actual anniversary. We've been looking at 1947 as the start of the company.
Oh, okay. So. And, I'm working with Tim Blaisdell and Ed Ermston on some new Athearn collector type guides that'll be done through our HO collector publication. So as those anniversaries roll around, we've got some neat Athearn projects in the works with those two gentlemen that did was it the Standard Guide to Athearn Collectibles in the 90s.
Yeah, no, both Tim and Ed are just a great resource.
Amazing collectors. Yeah.
Yeah. Just the history that they were able to share with me just kind of like brought it home about, Athearn's been around 75 years. Not a whole lot of companies can really boast about that. So it's important. It's an important anniversary for Athearn and also the hobby too.
Well, and Athearn has done so much in HO. I mean, when you think of the companies that have come and gone, the companies that Athearn's been involved with over the years, whether they produced product for them for train sets as they did for like Lionel in the 50s and like Cox in the 70s and Atlas in the 70s, that Athearn has been involved in so much and has done so much that, I mean, it's one of the big names, in the hobby, especially HO.
One of the things you were talking about was the original Athearn GP9, but our good friend Janik, who's been really hustling and pulling together some projects that he urgently needs to get completed today, wasn't able to join us, but he did want to share something that he was working on for the Mall Railroad Club.
Oh.
He's a part of out in California called the California Southern. So he has a maintenance away Jeep here. And he wanted to share that with everyone, just showing the progress that he's making with applying some of the decals to it and getting it ready for service.
Very nice. I just bought Saturday. I was out with my associate editor, Shane Mason, and I picked up a Union Pacific Genesis GP9 at Show Me Lines Hobby Shop in Grandview, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool model.
So one of the things that we're really excited to show you, and we've been kind of anxiously awaiting some samples to show up. We have photos of the SD60Ms coming in. We're first going to show off the BN version here.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, these things are coming out beautiful. Kind of highlighting just the front of the cab going down the length of the locomotive. Now, it's also important to note that on those ditch lights there, those are the actual strobes. The original strobe ditch lights would I think, flash as like xenon strobes or something like that when the horn was blown, but they were completely off any other time before that. This is early ditch light before they went to, being on all the time, alternately flashing on some railroads. And this is looking down the conductor side. One of the things that I noticed too, once we get to, let's see if I can zoom in on that. These also have the embossing on there for the Rockwell, as well as
on the truck side frames. That's cool.
On the truck side frames. So just want to make sure that is displayed. And looking back the other way on this. So we're really excited to we have a few other road names that we're actually actively getting photographed right now. So look out for some more updates on this here. We'll have a whole lot more photography, and look for some videos too, because these things are powered up. So we're excited to not only show them how they look, but to show them in operation as well.
It's a great looking model. That was a neat, that later, as BN started working with like that more white up front, I think that with the two vertical white bands and the large BN herald on the nose really kind of stands out a lot more than the striping that they did on the earlier version of the scheme. That's an awesome looking model.
Yeah, the white face is just somewhat of a classic in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. When I first saw these three window cab locomotives, I was just like, oh man, they had to be so ugly. But as time went on, they definitely grew on me. Definitely seeing them under load in service. That changed. That started changing my perception on these things, and just now that they're kind of going into secondary service, and you have all the big new power coming in, and these things are getting displaced into the roster a little bit. They're definitely becoming that much more cool.
And it's just what the Triclops is early production SD60Ms only, correct? Or 70M, 60M.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. These are the 60Ms.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, we can get over to our Railfan stream here and start taking some of your questions. Today's Railfan adventure is over in beautiful sunny California on the Tehachapi sub. This is actually from the Tehachapi Depot Railroad Museum. This is their live stream. Let's see here. We have a lot of praise here from Buford Hart, and I gotta answer this with a bit of a question. How can you really say that when we have the SDP-45, we have the SDF-40-2, SDP-40F, we have FP7s, we have the passenger GP7s and GP9s, and just a whole host of other passenger locomotives. So not really sure where that comes from.
The SDP-40F, because we talked about it some years before you brought it out, was always it, and the P30CH are 270s Amtrak models I always wanted to see. I had old brass models of the SDP-40Fs, so when you did that as a Genesis, it's spectacular. I think I've got a 3-unit set that I've put together for my collection, and I realized I've got to pick up the Phase 2 paint. I've just got the red nose Phase 1. I saw one of those this weekend and thought, I don't think I've added that yet. But now what you've done, the SDP-45, you guys talked about SDP-40s a little bit last week, the FP7s that you do. I mean, for all of the great passenger cars that are out there, a lot of those diesels, Athearn's where you got to go for, a lot of that motive power.
Yeah. So Buford, kind of curious to what passenger locomotive in particular you were looking for. Dustin Trejo always preferred the Triclops whiteface nose compared to the 2 windshield version where the white was actually on the side of the nose. And I get that. It was definitely kind of an interesting interpretation of the whiteface as it kind of went into a 2 windshield type cab. From the front, you could barely see the white other than, on the windows. It was just like 2 little white slits on the side of the nose because there was a little bit of a taper on that SD60M at the time. So we also have, let's see here. We have Lieutenant Dan. Hi, Lieutenant Dan. He's asking when the next run of KCS Southern Belle Aces, and what about a Genesis SD70 ACC? Well, as far as like the KCS Southern Belle, we'll be looking to doing some more of those next time we do some ACEs. As far as the SD70 ACC, definitely appreciate that, and it's something worth looking into for sure. We got Miguel Chavez here. Hello, Chris and Athearn. Is there any chance that Athearn will do a re-release of UP Challengers and N-Scale after the release of the upcoming UP Big Boys? And the answer is we will absolutely keep, our N-Scale NHO scheme in regular production. we just got to make sure that we're not hitting the market too hard as far as your wallets and things like that. So yeah. We're sensitive to that. We want to make sure that we can put together a good run, and B, make sure that it's something that there's enough demand for at the same time. So just be on the lookout for that as we go into the future.
And we've got big boys coming in scale next year, and are they sound for the first? There's different things on those that from before, I think.
Yeah, I believe this will be the first time that they'll have Tsunami 2 sound.
That's right.
For the N scale big boy.
And those are March of next year. Is the HO the same time? I'm looking here at the website while we're talking.
Yeah, I believe actually the HO scale one is going to be sooner than that.
Oh, it says late October for HO.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for those. I think it's going to be pretty well received and pretty exciting to get the HO one in. The HO one has gone through quite a few changes, and we'll be doing some more in depth on that as well. We'll have some video and kind of show off some of the things that the new model will have. So Voodoo Lounge, plan to do any KCS SD70 Max soon? Well, it's definitely something we'll consider. We just want to make sure that we're providing a good sort of roundabout group of new road names when we do these announcements. So we'll be keeping KCS in regular rotation. So if you don't see it here, just keep your eyes pinned to it for a future announcement.
You didn't yell train. There's a train. You have to yell train. When the guys were in town, all the Modelers Life guys, when we were for the Kansas City show last year, I'm driving everybody around, and you hear train, 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 and it was like, what? And it just, there's a train, but everybody in the car starts yelling. So now I feel compelled anytime. Oh, train, train. Yeah, you have to do that, I guess. I didn't know, but I do know now. Yeah.
It's funny. Last time we were doing this, there was like a switcher set kind of pulling out. This was over at Galesburg, and just sort of like right in the middle of a sentence, just train.
Yes. That's what made me think of it. Was last week somebody did that. I'm like, they do that too. Yeah, you have to just yell train, train. Yeah, it's like you're 3 years old and you're sitting in the car seat excited. Yeah.
So we have my good buddy Donnell. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Donnell. Hi, Chris and Tony. Is there any chance of Genesis 2.0 spilling into N scale? And that's an interesting sort of thing. Not really sure what the delineation for N scale will be, but quite a few Genesis projects have kind of trickled into N scale as of late. I mean, we've done some of our more popular freight cars like the LPG tank cars, the FGE 57-foot mechanical refrigerator cars, and those ended up having sound too, just like the HO version. So we'll just have to kind of see how that will fit into the actual product, and if the product really benefits overall with some of the things that we're doing in HO, we will definitely execute into N scale as well. We have Devern Coleman. Please do BNSF SD70 Max with the wagon wheel. So I'm kind of curious what the wagon wheel is.
Oh, the original Burlington Northern Santa Fe Herald, I assume, the Circle Cross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, on the nose.
I was looking to see if I don't think I have a picture of one of those. Whenever you guys announce something, the first thing I start doing is digging through Kevin Udaley's slides at White River, so I have pictures of things for the magazines. And I was kind of looking through my list of things I've pulled here on those, but no, I haven't pulled. I'm going to have to look. I will look and see if I can find one. I'll post it on the Facebook page.
Oh, yeah. We also have All Ohio Rail Fan would also like to see some Norfolk Southern Admiral Cab SD40-2s. And guess what? We'd love to do those too. very interested in that, and thank you for your suggestion. Coming right around to Ben Matchett. Any chance we could get the GP60 standard cab in the Genesis lineup? We will absolutely look into that and consider that. Let's see. We also have Alex Lofton. We certainly need more Genesis HO chassis system late phase GP40-2s in the 4400 series. Hey, we'll take a look at that. We have a great caboose to go along with some chassis system stuff now.
Definitely.
So it's, you know, something we're really excited about to check out and look into a little deeper. So appreciate the suggestion.
I think chassis gets to what some of those, like maybe 82, 3, 4. They're really late ones with the blower on the side. Rio Grande got a couple of them as wreck replacements. And then I think Chessie has some that they're 40-2s with, you know, the angle blower behind the cab. Is maybe that might be what he's talking about. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think those late phase GP40-2s are just super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll take a look at you know, the different phases and look at you know, what we can do next. Ted Ferguson says, what about the original SD70 Ace demonstrators, 70 and 73, or 72, 73? Yeah, it's something for us to look into. Those went to Kansas City Southern, I believe, and there were some interesting demonstrator type features on that we would need to look into to see if that would be something that we can offer. We also have Bob Koch, Athearn HO RTR SD49 SD59. When is the announcement in the future? SD59, I would have to take a look at what those would be.
I'm not sure either. Speaking of, similar to that, you were talking about demonstrators. I was really excited to see those, Athearn Roundhouse announcements of the Jeep 59 Jeep 60s. I know they won't be road specific, but those blue and white demonstrator units were so cool looking. Remember those that had the full SP light package, and didn't they have like the rounded off edges to the cabs and everything?
Yeah,
on those. Yeah, but those will be, again, as a collector, I'll have to have that blue and white, you know, even though it's not all road accurate. I saw the announcement on those thinking, I got to have that.
Yeah, I noticed that we did the GP59. Those never existed as a blue box.
Yeah.
So Nick Haley asks, anything DMIR in the works? It's been years since we gotten the SD45 T-2s. We'll take a look at some more DM&IR. You know, we have some good models for DM&IR to go on now. So keep checking in the future, and really appreciate your suggestion about that.
Have you ever been up to see the ore stuff up like Michigan and Minnesota, those areas? I think that would be. I'd really like to get up and see that stuff. You know, we do. White River does a number of historical society publications, and that Ore Extra is on the ore roads up there, and I always find that to be an interesting one to look through. It'd be fun to see them in action.
Yeah, I'd love to check it out. I just love heavy haul type stuff too, and that's definitely within the realm of that. So we have Thomas Albin, Caltrain and metric cars, and slowly below that we have another request for some commuter. Daniel Zimmerman, Surfliner and California cars. We never get any requests for that. That must be like the first time we've gotten that request. And right below that we have Dominic Rini. All I can think of would be the SD59 MXs, and that's kind of what I was thinking too with that question. It's something we'll look into as far as like the SD59 MXs, and we'll see if it's an opportunity for us to add that into our product line. And thank you guys for your suggestions. Chris Howard comes in with all the specialty cabooses. Is there a chance for a Southern Railway bay window? Hey, it's something for us to look into. The bones for our ICC caboose is definitely the international car. We were able to do some FGE type models as well, simply because the FGE hired a number of ex-ICC employees, so they took a lot of that know-how and experience and pretty much cloned the international car caboose. So FGE was really aggressive about like kind of, you know, taking the caboose market away from the international car. It just so happened we were able to offer those. But it's something for us to look into, and we'll be looking into seeing what we can do.
Now, those cabooses have done really well. Didn't you say that a lot of the runs already sold out on there's Burlington, UP, the B&O, and then what's the other? Is it Seaboard Airline? What's your other caboose that's coming out of the new
Santa
Genesis
Fe.
caboose? Oh, the Santa Fe, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The Santa Fe caboose in Genesis kind of has a, knowing now the cupola caboose's history being Santa Fe plans, it's kind of a cool thing that we're doing the international car Santa Fe caboose as well. It kind of ties into the Athearn history. So let's see here. We have our good buddy Janik here, working Sanders on the cabooses. And we also have Dominic Rini. Any plans for the SD40s and SD45 leasers in the future? We could probably do the SD40s. We'll have to check into the SD45s. Let's see here. It's kind of like hitting a moving target. Roman Suline, when are we getting SDL 39s?
Ooh, yeah. I'll order a couple right now.
Just send money. All right. Nathaniel Flores, SP SD40M-2s on the SD40 car body or SD45 car body with the GP40. I think he's talking about the radiator grills. Yeah, those would be pretty cool too for us to look into. Let's see here. Eduardo Betrol. Chris, what is the delivery for the TFM? And you know what? You're in luck. I can go look at that. I have it up.
Oh, the 70 Max. It's April of 2021, and you're wanting your pre-orders in by May 29th, which doesn't seems that's coming up close.
We have a request from Lieutenant Dan asking for KCS SW 1500s, MP15s, 33 Ecos, and a bunch of other switcher stuff. So, yeah, hey man, we'll look into that. KCS SD40-2s, and those are from the SD45 rebuild project apparently. Yeah, we'll look into that stuff and see what we can do. Let's see here. Let's see. This is kind of like hitting a moving target with the comments just flying by on the right-hand side. So we have Rail Fanteri. Just got my 2 SDP40Fs, and great job. Time for the updated F45 and FP45. Absolutely. The F45s and FP45s, those would be really cool to kind of bring up to LEDs and things like that as well. Let's see. We have the Steam Fan 1211. What about SD9s and SD7s? I'm in favor of some SD9s. Me personally, I'd love to have some SD9s.
Boy, you guys would do a great job on them. Oh, definitely. I think SP already in my mind. Yeah.
Well, also the SD9 is one of those classic Athearn locomotives that exists in the Blue Box line, and
Definitely.
as far as like a product lineup, it just would land really well into the Genesis line. In my opinion. it'd be nice to have an SD9 that we can run again. So this one from Christopher Zurich. How about SPGP40-2s from the first order with the split equipment door and the bell on the roof? We'll have to take a look at those. Any particular number series? Would these be like the early 7600s or something like that? I'll need to take a look at my roster and get back to you. But yeah, thank you for a suggestion. We'll look into that.
Boy, that new SP GP38-2 you just did is spectacular. The one with the speed lettering, and it has like some of the light package capped over. We've got a review coming up on that, and I saw the photography work on it as we sent Brian Crawford over in Springfield, Illinois, is reviewing that for the magazine, and it's a tremendous looking model.
You know what's funny about that GP38-2? That's another one of those early rail fan sort of like finds. Let me see if I pull it up here. I pulled up some of my old slides, or actually this is negative. These weren't even slides. So I had some detail shots on the speed letter in 4825. As soon as my computer can catch up, I'll show them off to you. That'll be a little bit of a trip down memory road on that one. Lewis here asking for, hi, what about a GP38-2 and FNM? Good old Ferromex. Yeah, it's something for us to consider all the way around. If you really appreciate the Mexican models and the Mexican road names, please just drop a comment in here and let us know that you want to see more of these sort of things. Let's see. And we get another Pooch comment here. Amtrak P30CH.
You guys said something about working on General Electric products, and I had a hard time going to sleep that night. I think that was last Tuesday's show, because I'm still waiting for that American GK P30CH to come out that was announced in '79. So yeah, I would take 3 of them immediately. So that would be very cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. I recall the P30CH. I went to New Orleans in the early 90s. This is like 91 or 92. And it was on the Sunset Limited. And I think the first P30CH blew up like around Arizona, like right before we got to Phoenix. So then they had to borrow a Cotton Belt GP60, and then the second one blew out, and then that was over, I'd say, in New Mexico. And at that point, we lost power, and we had to wait for a whole new set of power to come out. So
that
was quite the experience.
I think the last time as a kid I saw them a lot. Let me see here. I don't know if I can share the screen or if that. Let me see.
Yeah. Let me pull this off, and I'll put up your screen here. While you're doing, they have a request for how about some more GP38-2s in rock. I guess that would be in the blue scheme.
There we go. Did that come up?
Let's see here. Yep, I see it. Let me put that on there for you.
Yeah, that I think was about one of the last times I ever saw the P30s. That's a eastbound Sunset Limited on a Sunday morning in November 1991 with an F40 on front and then the 2 P30s. That's out at Flatonia, about 120 miles west of Houston. And look at the Phase 3. You've got some of the old El Cap high levels mixed in with superliners. And remember, they tried to mess with the bands to do the jog up and down, so the bands go all over the place on those cars. But that's about the end of the line for the P30s. But boy, they were awesome looking units.
And it's kind of sobering to think that it was almost the end of the line for the F40PHs.
Yeah, again, yeah. I now that you say that, yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but they were at the end of their time too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's some photos of the 4825. These were some of the detail photos I took. I saw this locomotive over at the yard there in Guadalupe. And I'm just like, oh, hey, this is quick. You can actually see the some of the stack arrangement on the top. This one had the 4 stacks, and it also had some different striping along the side sill, and also some more reflective striping going into the cab. Let's see what's next on the photograph list. Oh yeah, that's just showing some more detail of the 4 stack arrangement on these things. SP did that for some reason. I think it was just like a little bit cheaper to maintain if it had 4 exhaust stacks. Also, at that time, it started. This is about the time where they started converting everything over at Dish Light. So I got some pictures of the Dish Light retrofit, but the one we did actually has the beacon on it, so it predates this version here.
I didn't realize you guys had I just pulled up our pictures. It's like I didn't see that had 4 exhaust stacks, but yeah, your Genesis model has that too. That's very cool.
Yep, definitely. So let's see what else we have here. We have Books Custom Models asking for some more Wisconsin Central power. How about that? Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. And we have a kind of a similar thing here, similar but not so similar. Another run of Santa Fe War Bonnet FP45s and Frick Bonnet F45s. Something for us to look into. If we did do the FP45s, it might be worth looking into some Wisconsin Central FP45s on that run too. Now, wouldn't it?
It would be nice. Boy, they were good looking.
Noah CSX McCall. Wow, would you look at that? His middle name is CSX. That's pretty cool. Some CSX rebuild SD40-2s on the SD40 car body would be amazing. We'll definitely take a look at that. I would buy a ton of them. Well, even better, especially in YM1, and gives a photo. And we'll take a look at that, Noah, and really appreciate your thoughts and comments on that. Well, we got another 2 minutes left of Q&A here with Tony and I. If you have anything else, we'll be putting them up and talking to you about them. Thomas Albin, Smoothside Bombardier cars. Yeah, I think I can't remember which one we do, either the riveted or the smooth. Something for us to consider in the future for sure. Let's see here. Engineer Hall mentions the Dash 8 40CW. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, some good Dash 8s would definitely be awesome. Those things had a pretty big spread on the amount of row names and then also variants too. So appreciate that. Let's see here. We also have a request for some GP40X with the correct truck centers. Actually, our GP40Xs do have the correct truck centers. The HTBs are actually on I think it's what kind of gearbox is that? It's the RS3 gearbox. It's the Alco Group gearbox. So they're a little bit bigger.
Wider, yeah. It's like 9.4 or something maybe is the distance.
Right. The GP40X also is, I think the truck centers are identical to the GP60, and ours right on that same frame, that GP60 stock frame. And
it's one of those, I think you talked a week or so back about a Genesis Jeep 40X. And man, out of some of the, that was a rail power shell, was that Jeep 40X. But the stuff you guys, I think it and maybe your SD45, which was also rail power, are two that I think got the most makeover. As far as look, I mean, they're, other than maybe a lack of tread walk, they're tremendous looking units. So that 40X is, I mean, I love that 40X with the flares. I mean, those are all awesome units. That a Genesis would be great, but boy, they're ready to roll. It's an awfully good version of it.
Well, the GP40X were kind of a baby compared to the SD45X, and Marvin Larkin is asking for any plans for an SP SD45X in the future, maybe, possibly, hopefully. And you know what? Me being an SP guy, I'd love to see some SD45Xs. Those things were just awesome.
Awesome. So, yeah.
Definitely the 60s. I'd say it was the apex of 60s big power.
Mm-hmm.
That and the DDs. All right, last question for the day here. Comment from Christopher Camacho. It'd be cool to have Surfliner cars to go with the Surfliner F59 PHI and HO scale. I'm sure for N scale as well. Seeing how well Athearn details their locomotives and passenger cars. And well, we thank you for that. It's something that we get a lot of requests for, and it's something for us to look into a whole lot deeper. We definitely want to make stuff that you guys like and are after. So it's things like this that we get a lot of comments on. I mean, one could reasonably assume that hey, something happened with the SD60M Triclops. We had a ton of comments for that. So you never know. We're listening to you guys, and we really appreciate your interaction, taking the time out of your afternoon to drop by, hanging out with Tony and I, and just talking trains. We did get skunked again. I think it's Maintenance Monday out there on Tehachapi. I forgot about that. But my friends over on the BNSF that actually work this route kind of always mention me, oh, yeah, Chris, there's Maintenance Mondays. And I totally forgot about that. So
never fails. Yeah. That used to always be my family's luck. If we'd go out to Colorado in the summer, we'd get out to the Moffett. You get to see the RGZ go through, and then all the Rio Grande maintenance stuff would come out. And it's like, oh, there's no trains running today.
Boo.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for dropping by, and we will catch you again next time.